When you hear the name John Wayne, what's the first thing that hits you? It's that towering silhouette of American heroism, the man who redefined the Western over a 50-year career. But there's a side to the Duke that Hollywood rarely talks about. Behind that grit and the iconic drawl, Wayne harbored a restless, burning need for control. See, Wayne didn't just want to be the hero in front of the lens, he wanted to be the master behind it. He learned from the absolute best, mentors like John Ford and Howard Hawks. But as it turns out, being a legendary actor doesn't always translate to being a natural filmmaker. Think about his rival, Clint Eastwood. Clint stepped behind the camera and made it look effortless, winning Oscars and redefining the genre. But for Wayne, it was a much more heavy-handed struggle. We're talking about a man so passionate and so stubborn that he got into a fistfight with director John Huston on set. A man who fired Robert Mitchum for being a troublemaker and then had to direct the scenes himself. And let's not forget the time he gambled over $1 million of his own fortune on a single massive dream project called the Alamo. Why did a man who knew movies better than anyone else end up making films that critics, including Roger Ebert, sometimes slapped with a 0-star rating? Was he a visionary who was simply misunderstood, or was he a star whose ego was just too big for the viewfinder? Today, we're looking past the cowboy hat and the holster. We're excavating the 5 films where John Wayne took the reins as a director, from blatant political propaganda to the ghost director credits he refused to take. This is the untold story of the Duke's final cut. Stick around, this isn't just a countdown. It's a look at what happens when a legend tries to capture his own legacy on film. All right, let's talk about the big one, the movie that nearly broke the Duke, the Alamo. Now, for most people, the Alamo is just a historical footnote. But for John Wayne, it was a 10-year obsession. He didn't just want a star in it, he wanted to build it. He wanted to prove that he could craft a masterpiece as grand as anything his mentor, John Ford, ever produced. But here's where the drama starts. To get this movie made, Wayne had to put everything on the line. I mean everything. He poured $1.5 million of his own cash into the production, which, in 1960, money was a staggering fortune. He even mortgaged his own home and his production company. He was literally betting his life's work on a single film. And man, did he go big. He built a full-scale replica of the Alamo mission in Brackettville, Texas. A set so massive it became a tourist attraction for decades. But as a director, Wayne was, let's just say, undisciplined. He was so in love with the dialogue and the pageantry that he forgot one of the golden rules of cinema, pacing. The original cut was over 3 hours long. Critics at the time were brutal. They called it bloated, preachy, and historically inaccurate. Even his old friend John Ford reportedly showed up on set and started giving orders because he couldn't stand watching Wayne struggle. Can you imagine that? The Duke, the biggest star in the world, being babysat by his own mentor on his dream project. But here's the kicker. Despite the mixed reviews and the massive debt, the public still showed up. Why? Because the Alamo wasn't just a movie. It was John Wayne's personal manifesto on patriotism and sacrifice. It's a flawed, beautiful, and clumsy epic that perfectly captures the man himself. Over the top, stubborn as a mule, and completely unapologetic. So, was it a failure? Financially, it was a disaster that took years to recover from. But as a piece of film history, it's a fascinating look at what happens when a star's ambition outruns his technique. Now, if the Alamo was about John Wayne's past, this next one was all about his present, and it got ugly. I'm talking about the 1968 film, The Green Berets. You have to understand the world in 1968. America was bleeding in Vietnam. The country was torn apart by protests. Most of Hollywood was staying as far away from the conflict as possible. But not John Wayne. The Duke was a staunch conservative, and he was furious. He didn't just want to support the troops, he wanted to change the national narrative. So, he co-directed The Green Berets. And let's be honest, it wasn't just a movie. It was a 140-minute, unapologetic piece of political propaganda. When the film hit theaters, the critics didn't just dislike it, they despised it. The legendary Roger Ebert, who usually respected Wayne, gave it a flat 0 stars. He called it hateful and cliched. The media labeled it as a simplified cowboys and Indians story, moved to the jungles of Southeast Asia. But here is the twist that still puzzles film historians today. It was a massive hit. While the elite critics in New York and LA were trashing it, the silent majority, the working-class Americans who felt ignored, flocked to the theaters. It became one of the top-grossing films of the year. This created a massive divide. The critics saw a technical and moral disaster, but the fans saw a tribute to American bravery. Behind the scenes, the production was just as intense. Wayne was 60 years old, struggling with health issues, yet he was out there in the heat, barking orders and trying to make a pro-war film, while the rest of the world was chanting for peace. Love it or hate it, The Green Berets is a fascinating study of a man using his massive stardom as a political weapon. It proved that Wayne's connection with his audience was so strong that not even a 0-star review from the world's biggest critic could stop him. Now, we've talked about the movies where the Duke's name was right there on the director's chair, but some of his most interesting work happened when he was operating in the shadows. Take the Comancheros in 1961. The legendary Michael Curtis, the man who gave us Casablanca, was the director, but Curtis was dying of cancer during the shoot. He was often too sick to even show up. So, who stepped in? John Wayne. He took over, finished the film, and delivered exactly what his fans wanted, a solid, tough-talking Western. And because he respected Curtis, he never asked for a single ounce of credit. Then there was Blood Alley. This one is wild. Robert Mitchum was originally the lead, but he got fired after reportedly tossing the movie's transportation manager into the San Francisco Bay. Wayne had to jump in as the star, and when the director fell ill, he took the reins of the production too. It resulted in a strange, beautiful adventure film that showed Wayne had a much better eye for cinematography than people gave him credit for. But the real standout of his ghost directing career has to be Big Jake in 1971. Formerly, it was directed by George Sherman, but Sherman was in failing health. Wayne ended up directing almost all the exterior shots in those gritty, bone-crunching action sequences. It's arguably the most fun movie he ever directed. It has better pacing, nastier villains, and a level of violence that had real bite for a John Wayne picture. Yet again, Wayne refused to put his name on it. Why? Maybe it was professional courtesy. Or maybe, at that stage in his life, he realized he didn't need the title of director to be the man in charge. He was the Duke. On a John Wayne set, everyone knew who the real boss was. So, what do we make of John Wayne's legacy behind the camera? He wasn't a natural like Clint Eastwood. His films were often heavy-handed, sometimes preachy, and usually way too long, but they were also deeply, undeniably human. Whether he was churning out propaganda for the war in Vietnam or pouring his soul into the walls of the Alamo, he brought a level of passion that most polished directors couldn't dream of. Wayne's time as a director reminds us that even the biggest legends have mountains they're still trying to climb. He wasn't just a face on a poster, he was a student of the craft, a man who clutched the viewfinder until his very last days. He might not have been Hollywood's greatest director, but he was certainly its most determined. And in the world of the Duke, sometimes guts matter more than a perfect edit. Thanks for taking this ride through the archives with us. Which of the Duke's directed films is your favorite? Or do you think he should have just stuck to the saddle? Drop a comment below and let's talk about it. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the legends of the silver screen. We'll see you in the next one.